Alright guys, today we are just going to have a normal sit-down opening to a video just because, I just feel like sitting down and just having a good discussion with you on what's happening right now. And today we're going to talk about Pokemon Market Watch here in 2022, what you can be looking for in the Pokemon market as we go into a recession, and also just take a look at a question that came up on the live that I thought was a fantastic question that came up right at the end and didn't give me a lot of time to actually get through it because we were trying to get to that live for Pikachu and give him the opportunity to start his channel off with a bang. And hopefully you guys had a good time for the ones that moved over from here to there and actually enjoyed that live. It was a fantastic opening for him. Great little startup video, great little discussion with those two, a good way for him to start out. So I see very good things with him, some very good guests coming from his lineup, and of course a very good channel in the future here to really get to know the market and get to know the players on the YouTube scene and all outside of the YouTube scene brought into his channel. So there's some really good things coming forward from him. But I wanted to go back because at the end of the video or at the live, PokeNav put a very good question up on the screen that I would like to elaborate more on. I was very rushed and I just kind of pointed to a couple areas that I was seeing as opportunities. But today I would really like to break those down a lot. I'd like to really talk about what I was actually seeing or what I'm looking at, or maybe some of the things I am working at in these areas, because it is a very good question. And the question is, in your eyes, what is the best opportunities in a recessionary Pokemon market? Now, the one things that I really do look at is that when we go into a recessionary market, I stop looking at sealed product. Sealed product tends to slow down on the sales side of things. People aren't looking to spend that high dollar numbers, especially for booster boxes and that, which means the price doesn't really go up. And we've seen that on some even the modern products that were doing extremely well, such as a UPC was up to about 400, 450. And we've seen that retract down because of the pressure of the market down to about that 350 range. And that's to be expected when you're talking about a recession. And I know some people are going to sit here and say we are, or we're not. Yeah, we are in a recession. We've had 2 quarters of negative growth. I don't care what the government's trying to reformulate to make it sound better to save the midterm election. But overall, we are in a recession by the definition. So regardless if they want to come out and say it or not, the facts are out there. It is what it is. We're in a recession and we should be acting and looking that way for your safety and for, of course, your income and your actual expenditures and things. Just remember, recessions can be really easy. Sometimes there isn't very much damage to the economy, and sometimes they can get brutal, like we saw in the mid-2000s, in which people lost jobs, lower incomes, people take pay cuts to keep businesses running. These things are all possible opportunities that you might see which are not good for you. So just keep that in mind as you're moving forward. But to go to the question, I've been looking at a lot of what we've considered underrated sets, especially when you're looking at that, EX, Diamond Pearl, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, all the way in the black and white. And the reason we like those sets, or I've always liked those sets, is that they've been kind of underrated since the beginning of this whole boom. Now, when we say underrated, I feel that they're quite undervalued with some of those cards. There's some really fantastic artwork cards, some very good collection cards down in that era that just have not moved because they're kind of forgotten by my generation, who was up there from 99 to 2006, and then the people that came back in 2016 and forward. There's a big gap on those sets where people just don't recognize them as much, or they don't realize that they're there and they kind of forget about them. So a lot of times the big market players aren't looking at those because they're not in their face and they've not had the experience or the actual walkthrough of these sets to see these products going. I mean, most of us now have seen all the sets in Sword and Shield who are here now. Most of us, majority of us, have probably seen the Sun and Moon sets and know the cards that are in them, know the layouts, know what sets these cards are in. Even XY, you're probably hit or miss on some of those depending on when you came back. But you go back further than that, a lot of people don't even know half of these cards even exist just because they're not looking at them. That's great opportunities. That means they're undervalued. And the reason I like those sets too is when you're in a recessionary market, remember, everything's going to retract at some point in time. It's just a matter of when. All these inflated sets all the way up in WotC and up in XY, Sun and Moon, and even Sword and Shield sets right now that are very, very inflated for what they should be compared to what the market has been historically, have a tendency to get hit really hard when it comes down to these recessionary actions. So when I'm looking at it, I'm looking in these sets down in the Diamond and Pearl, that mid-tier area, because if they're undervalued, number one, they probably won't fall very far, if at all, when the markets actually start to retract. And number two, if they're undervalued, there's an opportunity that they could come up. Now, the one thing I am really looking at really heavily now is moving now to PSA has got quicker turnaround times, is looking at the grading option with PSA. Of course, there's some really good opportunities down there to purchase some raw cards, get some good condition cards down in that section, and actually be able to grade them and maybe get 3-4 times profit on the PSA 10, even a safety net of a PSA 9, giving you some good opportunities. So the first one I'm going to put next to you that I was looking at is this Rayquaza C. I think that, or Level X. This is a fantastic card. It has some really good opportunities in it, and as you could see, for the raw card value to a PSA 10 and 9, there's a huge buffer in there. Now, the difficult part about this card, or any of these cards back in this time frame, is going to be finding them in mint condition that can pull off that 9 or 10. Trying to find undamaged, unscratched hollows, heavy whitening and things like that. That's where you got to be looking at that 9. Now, if you can't get that 9, of course, then the value of this card drops dramatically at an 8, and it's going to fall down close to what the value is of a raw card. That's the risk you take. But you need to understand these risks when you're looking forward, and it gives you an opportunity to really learn grading. Maybe take some modern cards, really examine them, and understand the grading process, and it'll give you a leg up when it comes down to these products in the long run. The other part is that there's quite a few of these. I mean, there's a lot of singles out there, even some Charizards, Rayquazas, some Lugias. There are definitely some different valued cards down in that range that have some good opportunities for this process. The other thing is since they are a little bit undervalued, you could also buy these raws and maybe sit on them for 5 to 10 years and see an increase in the value of them that way. Also, just because you're getting in on them at a low rate, a low value comparatively to a lot of the other markets that are going to fall down. These ones you could probably slide in now. We're seeing some uptick on these, which means some people are starting to realize this also and might be moving into that. So definitely keep your eye out on those values. There's some really good things right there to be able to do that with. The other area that I talked about was I kind of hinted towards the modern era, and I am still looking at some singles and things in this era. Once again, I know a lot of people that are talking about recessionary and which part of the market's going to get hit hardest first. They always say modern. Now, I could see why they would think that because of the fact that it's all new and people are just going to leave the hobby and not do it anymore. But I tend to disagree a little bit with this, and I know I'll probably get some backlash for this. But the reasoning that I disagree with this is that I look at any time in the last recession, luxury goods were always the first items to be hit, right? Them high expenditure items are the items that people don't spend anymore. They don't have that money. So people want to go ahead and just say, Evolving Skies. So they want to open up some packs, and they want to be able to have some fun. Is Evolving Skies a better alternative than maybe going back to an XY set, which may cost you $300 to $700, even $1,500 to $2,000, depending on the set, when you could still get Evolving Skies for around $140 to $160? Of course, they're going to go for the $160 booster box to get their fix, and then pull a couple packs out of here and there, and that's where the excitement's going to come for these people. Now, that's why I say modern may still do fairly well, and I think that modern in general is kind of stabilized and is actually moving up in that positive direction, even with all the news that's happening right now. Number one reason is that it's very difficult for some LGSs and places to get product. Others seem to say that they can get product pretty readily, even all the newer sets, but we have other LGSs saying they can't get products. And I know my local LGS says they can't get any Pokemon Go, Astro Radiance, Brilliant Stars, and they just got a little bit of Evolving Skies with a total of 12 booster boxes, which they sold in 2 days. So realistically, those did not sit on their shelves very long. They're hoping that they'll see some more product become available, especially these modern sets when the hype is all for them. Hopefully Lost Origins will be a little bit better for them. That's just our hopes on what's going to happen. But realistically, that's a good sign that Pokemon is starting to, like I said in previous videos, adjust their print rates and be able to compensate for maybe the lack of purchasing. And that means that maybe they've undercut it too far to where they've created more shortages again. And what happened when we had shortages? Look back in 2021. We had people paying a lot of money for these products because there was none available. And when there's none available, market price goes up, more opportunity. You can jump in and even Lost Origins, try and find some booster boxes. I just purchased my cases. This time I could not get them at $72 a case. The LGS said that their price went up to about $86. Booster boxes are going up, guys. We're going to see prices probably going to about $120 a booster box now, considering the LGSs can get them from the distributors for around $86. And I believe Mason said that too on his videos, that the era of $100 booster box is probably going away, and we're looking at more about that $115 to $125. So once again, prices are going up. things are shifting, and that's why I still say, even though we go into a recession, the modern market has probably still got the most opportunities in broad, just because of the price range that we're dealing with. People have that money to be able to spend on these products, while a PSA 10 Charizard from base set Shadowless is probably not in the market for most people. A Pikachu maybe, or a brand new alternate art for a PSA 10 would be accessible for some of these people, because you're dealing with cards that are usually under $200. If you can keep down in that low price range, more money moves, more sales move in that area. People are willing to spend that than paying for a Team Rocket booster pack that not even open for $250. So that's where we might see those upper tiers kind of drop, while the modern stabilizes where we're seeing it. And that's where I think that there might be some great opportunity also. So that like I said, I got that question. I love the question. It was a fantastic question. It gave me a great video here to be able to elaborate on what we're seeing and the reasons on why I'm going to those areas. I didn't have the time in the live to be able to really go over that and really expand on where I was thinking on stuff. So I'm giving you a couple of examples. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and dig through those arrows, because there's a lot of cards that I'm seeing. Partially because I'm digging so hard in there trying to grab things. I don't want to send everybody to the cards I'm going for, and then I lose my opportunities because of it. If you find them on your own, of course, they're all yours. I'm not going to sit there and fight you for them. But I'm going to give you the era. I'm going to give you the sets and the eras that I'm looking for in that area. And then also, of course, modern. Like I said, modern is still, to me, during a recessionary the recessionary market in Pokemon, a fantastic and safe bet. Just be careful. Don't overpay. Just understand the reprint system in modern. You do know that we're going to get reprints. I still think we're going to see a reprint of possibly Chilling Reign before the end of its life. All these sets usually about 6 months before their 2-year mark will get a large or at least a supplemental reprint of product to reinvigorate the set. Gives everybody one last opportunity to get the cards that they're looking for in them before they go out of rotation in the following August. So it's just things that they do. We know that they're coming. We could see the possibility of these happening pretty quick. Of course, Battle Styles is coming up close to that range. I don't know if we're going to be seeing one. It's hard to believe that Battle Styles is already a year and 3 months old. So in the next 4 months, we might be seeing another reprint of Battle Styles. Possibly a month after that, Chilling Reign coming back, followed by Evolving Skies. I know it's really hard to be thinking that we've been doing this for so long, that these sets were brand new. You were opening them on the channels. We were having fun with them. And now we're already talking about possibly their final reprints coming. So definitely keep your eye on those reprints too. It might be one more great opportunity to jump into those products when those reprints happen and they start getting close to going out of rotation. As those last reprints roll out, prices will drop one last time. Great time to be able to load up on those at a really reasonable price and continue to have a good investment for the future. Especially Chilling Reign, surprisingly, seems to be doing really well. We're seeing some really good movement. I think some people are realizing the cards that are available in there and are going back for that chase on that set, especially with the lack of product in the newest sets. So once again, guys, hopefully this gives you a good view of what I'm seeing right now. Hopefully that explains his question a little bit better. PokeNav, of course, greatly appreciate it come in and put a nice question like that up for a video to follow up with. And as always, if you do like this information, check out these 2 videos over here, and we will see you next time here on Northwoods TCG.